JFD, just fair and direct.
Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 6th of December 2022. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday's morning session where we're going to have a very quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so now then, also just before we jump into the charts, as always, a quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channels, which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our jfdbrokers.com website, which you can always check out for more information about us, guys. So now then, let's jump into the charts. So yesterday we skipped a video, let's see what the market has installed for us today. Now, looking at the picture here, Nikkei. Of course, yesterday the index did drift lower. Indices in general in the US did drift lower. So we saw, a bit of a nasty decline. However, not critical still. So you can see here that we have Nikkei, which did follow suit a little bit, but then managed to recover somewhat. So it seems like it's trying not to give up. So, but on the broader picture here, I mean, I told you about this idea of a rising wedge pattern, which according to all the TA rules tends to break to the downside. Well, we did get that break and we did move lower. However, we're finding now good support here near this 27,692 territory somehow. So yeah, previously it acted as a good area of resistance, then support, and now it seems like it's doing the same job again, acting as a good support. So if we drop below that level again, then I'll go lower, because such a move will confirm a forthcoming lower low and potentially more sellers could join in. Now, in terms of the upside, now I think that, okay, I'll keep the rising wedge pattern for now. However, I think we will start moving away from it, and we will keep an eye on the this downside line as well. Again, look, this downside line, it's also a difficult one because it seems like we haven't established the point here, the lower high. So that's why it's a little bit difficult to draw a downside line. So for now, probably the easiest option is to draw something like this here, where still either way, this level comes in nicely. The 28282 level, the one that I talked about previously a lot. This was my barrier for the upside. Look, I have to admit, it's not really working here as picture perfect levels in terms of, let's say, having a beautiful breakout, good breakout or something. We did have a few breakouts here. We traveled higher, but we then failed. But maybe this time, maybe the third time would be lucky if we get closer to this point. Whereas for now, like I said, we just have to kind of wait here and see what we can do. We're closer to this downside scenario, of course, breaking below this 27,692. However, my problem here is with the 100 and the 200-day EMA, which could provide a bit of a holdup. So kind of consider that option, consider that thing here. So let's see how that's going to play out, guys. For now, Shanghai Composite. So this one here, you can see nicely first of all, the idea here worked out, because I said that we might see a correction lower here. If we do, maybe this area could provide support. It did, and then maybe we could get could go and reach the 200-day EMA, which we did. So kind of mission accomplished, I would say. Now we have to reevaluate things here. And look, if you're looking for some higher levels, pretty straightforward. A push. We need to see not only actually a push, but also the daily candle staying above the 200-day EMA, and then we could go Now, I have the ideal scenario here, the 3,295, but of course I will aim for this little hurdle here initially, the 3,278, roughly around there. And if we do move above that 208 EMA and stay above it, I'll aim, like I said, for these two levels. For the downside, now look, I had this downside line previously, which we broke, which was fantastic. It worked out perfectly. I think we can now reuse this downside line and make it an upside line, because I think that this could work out later on. So if you're looking for some lower levels, guys, I get it. We do have a lot of area around here, but for me it's a little bit tricky, so that's why I would prefer to wait maybe for a breakout below this upside line. And maybe, look, maybe there could be a situation where we could go higher here, maybe test this area and then reverse back down, and maybe this 3,145 level now could act as a good breakout area for later on. But like I said, let's not rush into anything. First, for that upside scenario, we need to see a push above the 200-day EMA. ASX 200 very quickly on that one. So yeah, good hold up here near this 7,348. Look, I was initially targeting this 7,416, and I'm still targeting as long as we stay above this upside line, taken from the low of the 3rd of October. If we break the upside line, then that's where I'm going to start considering maybe some lower levels, and then yeah, we will take it from there, guys. To be honest, pretty straightforward on this one. As long as we stay above this upside line, I will aim higher. NASDAQ 100, guys. NASDAQ 100, yeah, continues to struggle with this area right here, this psychological 12,000 mark. Now, what we can do here, first of all, I want to highlight this territory to point out its significance. This area is not exactly the 12,000, but just kind of the area around it a little bit. So it's like 12,025 here, 12,062. Okay, guys, I do apologize for kind of going silent there a little bit because, oh, I have some noises, have some alerts here as well coming out on my platform. Look, I think, yeah, I think it's time to, there we go, there's another one, sorry about that. Look, coming back to this point here, Nasdaq. With Nasdaq, of course, the bulls are really hoping to see a nice pop out here, a nice like breakout. Of course, that would be quite interesting to see because look, I mean, on one hand, we're seeing a bit of a decline. On the other hand, we do have a bit of a bullish flag forming here or something like that. So look, I mean, we have our pole and we have this little decline. So maybe let's not give up on this one yet, and maybe we could see that pop eventually. But in order to go for some higher levels, of course, I need to see a pop above these two kind of, or this territory in general, this key resistance area. Now, in terms of the downside, that's why I have my scenario from around 11,520. So if we drop below it, then yes, I will go to the downside. I will aim for this upside support line taken from the low of the 13th of October, guys. So keep that in mind. But at this point, as long as we stay around here, I'm just observing the price action. I'm not really doing anything. I mean, some of you probably are drawing something like this here. Yes, you can. Don't get me wrong. It's not wrong. However, you have to accept the fact that it's also a bit of a tentative line, like this one as well. Yeah, we can keep it, and you can see that, for example, this upside line, this steeper one, is kind of coinciding right now with the 21-day EMA. So yeah, if you're looking for some higher levels, then a break of this highlighted territory is required. The S&P 500, guys, very quickly. So there we go. Also quite interesting scenario. The rising channel pattern seems to be holding so far. But look, first of all, need to shift this a little bit and need to kind of ignore this territory right here, this 4,029, because I looked at it previously. It did work initially, but after Monday's activity, it failed to work. So yeah, you can see that we have drifted back below it, but we're currently near the lower side um, of this rising channel pattern. So if you're looking for some higher levels, guys, I think the option here is the safer option, is to keep your eyes on the 200-day EMA. If we pop back above it, then yes, I'll go to the upside. I'll go towards these 4,000, this 4,119 territory, or maybe even higher. But let's not rush into anything yet. So okay, so by the way, guys, I'm just gonna apologies for these little blank pauses. My throat is not feeling very well still. But yeah, I'll try to do my best, guys. So apologies for that in advance. Now, coming back to this option here, look, for the downside, even if we break the lower side of the rising channel, I am very careful around here. This territory here could still be a difficult one to evaluate, so probably my downside scenario is better off from somewhere around here, from this 3,912 territory, because this way we would be placed below all of the EMAs on our daily chart here. For the upside, I already said 4,029 territory. That's what I'm keeping an eye on, together with the 200-day EMA. The German index DAX broke the upside line. However, the question, how significant is this upside line? Because, well, I mean, it might not be, because we might be forming something else here, maybe like a range of some sort. So I think it's time to tidy up this chart and start fresh, because look, if something is not working, you have to redo this and you have to start fresh. Looking at this picture here, first of all, what do we see? We see an index which is still above all of its EMAs. Another thing that we're seeing here, that we are currently struggling with this little hurdle. Again, it's not the highest point here at the moment, but not the 14,579. It's like 14,571 is not the highest point, of course, of this little period here. The highest point is right here, which we managed to reach on Friday. We overshot it, but then we quickly drifted back down. Yesterday we did decline, but it wasn't something, let's say, spectacular or something like radical. On the other hand, we have an area here which we're keeping an eye on, this 14,327, because look, this might be an interesting one here, because maybe we could see a nice good drop below this, and then this could open the door towards that 21-day EMA. However, given the proximity of this 21-day EMA to this breakout point, I would say it's very narrow here, very small move. So I think maybe the easier option is kind of to wait somewhere for a break of below this 14,150, because at the same time we would be placed below the 21-day EMA, and maybe more sellers could join in here. So yeah, it's like I said, it's a bit of a tricky one. So if you do want to look at the downside from around here, you can. The only thing is that we kind of keep an eye on, a potential reversal. Let's say if it does bounce from that 21-day EMA, so what are you going to do then? This might take you out very quickly, so it might reverse sharply. But that's why we have our stop losses in place. So, but still, it could be interesting options from here. But you need to consider the fact that there could be a bit of a hold up somewhere around here. So don't get frustrated if, let's say, if it doesn't go, if it just goes towards that 21-day EMA, tests it, and then reverses to the upside. However, with the upside, I still need to see a push through this area. I need to see the daily candle staying above this area in order to go higher, but then I have a problem with this little hurdle, which is kind of in the way, and that's the highest point of June of this year. So 14,709 could be an interesting target. So look, from the short-term perspective, I'm seeing here an opportunity. However, I have to wait for that opportunity. Now, why I'm saying an opportunity, because we hadn't had like if just purely from like just probability perspective, we haven't had the big candle yet. So we have been having like these little small trading ranges, daily intraday trading ranges. So But yeah, if we need to get them some sort of a bigger move here, and hopefully, if we can get that. But again, let's wait and see, guys. Let's see how this is going to play out. We do have some data coming out today from the U.S., but not very significant, to be honest. The only thing is that it's the EIA short-term energy outlook that's coming out. However, it could be that it could move the market. We do have more data from Canada actually coming out, the IVPMI, for example, and during the European morning, the European session, like the construction PMIs from Britain are coming out, so something to keep in mind. I'll get to the RBA interest rate in a bit once I jump into these pairs, but yeah, that's coming up. In terms of other economic data which you need to keep an eye on this week, well, I think it's going to be mainly the Canadian interest rate decision as well, so, and the US PPIs on Friday, but we'll get to that point later on this week. But here, like I said, from the European side, there's let me just double check very quickly the calendar. It seems like pretty much quiet. Oh, the preliminary GDP figures coming out, yeah, on Wednesday. Okay, from Europe for the Eurozone. So that could be an interesting one. And yeah, look, pretty much kind of quiet-ish in terms of the European data, but it might, of course, we might see, the German index, for example, here reacting to other indices. So, and keep that in mind. But like I said, it could be an interesting one once we start getting a breakout here through this little range where we're currently sitting at. DXY, dollar index. So we're below the 200-day EMA. We're below all of the EMAs here on our daily chart. So in a way, there is potential for some further downside. Look, I'm still targeting this 103.67. As long as we stay below the 200-day EMA, I'll continue aiming for this target for this area, and then we will kind of take it from there. In terms of the upside, well, I would say, look, if we push above the 21-day EMA here, then yes, I will go to the upside. I will go higher, but at least initially towards that 100-day EMA, and then so on and so on. So that's why for me at the moment with the dollar index here, again, it is forming something that I do like to look at very often. Look, because we had the decline, like a steep decline first, and then we're now having a gradual decline. So what it means that an upside could be inevitable here. However, the question, how big will be the upside? So maybe it's just going to be like just that little one, and nothing else. So look, I'm still going to be keeping an eye on this downside line, because if we break this downside line, then we could see push above the 21-day EMA as well. So and this is where my analysis comes in terms of keeping an eye on the 21-day EMA. Now jumping into gold, guys, very quickly. This one's an interesting roller coaster here. You can see that, well, first of all, we reached my target, the 1808. That's wonderful. The highest point of August of this year. So yeah, after reaching that, we drifted back down. Look, straight away, my upside arrow goes from here, and this upside line. Now this becomes a difficult one, because I think it has to go, because look, I think it's no longer valid, and I think the easiest option here is to keep an eye on some of these EMAs instead, because look, if we fall below the 1759, we fall below the 200-day EMA as well. Of course, it's not a guarantee that we're gonna go further south or something. No, but at least we can start getting more comfortable with further declines. Again, I understand your skepticism maybe, because you're thinking, hey, maybe we already got that decline here. True. Could be the case. So this is where you have to kind of evaluate it all the time, all the single time. So look, we might see a drop lower here. We might even see a break below the 1759. But if it, let's say, fails to stay below it, then we could see a bit of a rebound here, and then the question will be, can we go, higher here? Can we find resistance, and then can we go back down again? So that's where this is what I'm preparing you for. So this level here, I'm not saying that if we start breaking it straight away that we could go lower. No, we already kind of did this nice strong move to the downside. So maybe a bit of a retracement here could be possible. So where it could rebound from this 200-day EMA first, and then go higher, and then find resistance somewhere here, and then go lower. So again, we've seen something like that happening, so I'm just considering here a possible scenario. But overall, if we do fall and stay below the 1759, I am aiming for the 21-day EMA, then for these levels, the 1735, and then maybe for that 1725 level as well. And then we will go from there. For the upside, I'm going to be very conservative here, and I'm going to wait for a break of this barrier 1808. Now, another thing to complicate your life a little bit, just bear with me one moment. Look, again, I don't know how true this is going to be or not, but again, we need to consider all these options, and maybe, just maybe, this is a rising channel pattern. Again, could be the case. But I would say, look, it's a difficult one. I mean, I'll consider that maybe if we do drop below this 200-day EMA, but struggle to go further below this lower side of the rising channel and then go back to the upside. So I'll keep this in mind. Again, like I said, this is just a secondary option, but all these things we need to consider, guys, and like I said, it could be an interesting one here if we do fall below the 21-day EMA eventually further, and then we could consider a further decline. Okay, I can see there in the chat room there, Evu. Yep, Evu, good morning to you. Long time no see. I don't know if you were following the videos, but I'm happy to see you here, and thank you very much for the good morning wish, and of course good morning to everybody else who's joining in. So I'm happy to see you here as well. I mean, or at least see the numbers there jumping around. So thank you very much, guys. Now, jumping into WTI oil very quickly. Look, we have a bit of a roller coaster, and this is one of those moments where I said, look, even if we break the downside line, I need to see a push above that 82.10. Well, we did get a push, but we failed to stay above it. So what do we need here right now is a nice good move, another good move above this 82.10, and I would like to see the daily candle staying above that area. If we do stay above this, then yes, I'll go further north. Initially, I'll aim for the 100-day EMA, or then maybe this 200-day EMA, who knows. For the downside, oh, and by the way, you need to get rid of this downside line, no longer needed. For the downside, this is the same analysis, could be valid here. A drop below the 76.28 territory could do the trick for a few more sellers. Litecoin, very quickly, guys. So yeah, this one is still working out according to the plan. Look, the upside support line is kind of, I'm not saying that it's getting, doing a lot of action here or anything. No, it's just kind of, it's just there. It's like a gauge for this Litecoin crypto. But 83.75, that's what I'm keeping an eye on. I need to see a nice good pop above it in order to go higher. Well, at the moment, I did get a pop yesterday, but we failed to stay above it, so that doesn't really work well with me. I need to see that one, staying above it, and then I'll go higher. At the moment, I'm cautiously bullish, but if it starts breaking this upside line, I'll start looking at the downside. AUD/USD. This one's interesting because we had the RBA interest rate decision this morning. So, what was this? What was the decision? They kept it. Sorry, they didn't keep it. They raised it from 2.85 to 3.10. So they had a nice 25 basis point increase. Okay, that's absolutely fine. We had a bit of a bump here. You can see we had a bit of a push after we got held by this 200-day EMA. Look, previously I talked about this and I said that if we pop above the 0.6798, I'll go higher, initially aiming for that 200-day EMA, and if we clear that one, I'll go for the 0.6916. Well, we didn't clear the 200-day EMA. We didn't really stay above it, but yeah, instead we drifted back down, but we found support near this upside line taken from the low of the 21st of November. So if you're looking for some lower levels, then we need to see a break of this upside line and drop below all of the EMAs. This way I'll get a little bit more excited with the downside. For the upside, I will keep actually this 0.6798 territory for now. I want to see if actually going to carry any significance. If we do push above it, I'll go again to the upside, and but of course, if you really want to be a little bit more careful on the with the upside, then of course the 200-day EMA is the one to watch. AUD JPY, similar story. We got a nice pump here, and we pushed higher, but the question is, can we stay above the 200-day EMA? Well, that's a good question. At the moment, we're above it, so yeah, I mean, there could be a continuation move higher towards this downside line, which I've drawn previously, this taken from the high of the 13th of September, and yeah, if we do push higher, if we do break this downside line right here, then yep, at the same time we will be placed above all of the EMAs here on our daily chart, and potentially more buyers could join in. So this is where my upside scenario starts from. In terms of the downside, well, this one is going to be pretty straightforward for me. If we drift back below this 200-day EMA, I will go to the downside. Again, I will aim for this territory between the 90.85 and 91.08. Or in other words, around, if you want to just keep an eye on the general general kind of 91 level, you're not going to be wrong here as well. So that could be a good target too, if we drop back and stay below the 200-day EMA. AUDCHF, and also an interesting one. Look, I talked about this one. If you remember, I talked about this idea of a possible maybe descending triangle, but then I said that, look, if we break this upper side of potential descending triangle, then we could go higher, but I'll aim only for this area because maybe we have ourselves a range, which it seems like to be the case. So look, once again, this territory, the 0.63 territory, is providing that fantastic support, as you can see here. So if you're looking for some lower levels, then certainly, obviously, we need to see a clear drop below this hurdle, below this zone, and then we could consider further move south, but only up until the 0.6212, because that's the lowest point of October, and then we will kind of go from there. With the upside, well, conveniently, this territory, the 0.6454, is coming up here for me, and if we do clear that, we also clear the 100-day EMA, and I'll go further north towards that 200-day EMA, because previously the 200-day EMA did a good job, as you can see here, provided good resistance. USD CHF. This one, have to admit, is not doing exactly what I was hoping it to do. However, it's fairly occasionally when the market doesn't do how you want it to do, but hey, we just have to adjust ourselves. Look, initially it was working nicely. The 0.94 got cleared, we moved lower, but then we found support somewhere around here randomly, actually. I mean, look, let me just, I think, adjust a few areas here. This, I think I'll recycle this line. 0.9326, I mean, that was just kind of not the most interesting level, doesn't have any like clear historic significance. Look, I would say if I'm looking for some higher levels, then probably the best option is to kind of wait for a break of this downside line right here. Now, another thing that I'm considering here, and I've already mentioned this potential pattern, is that, hey, maybe it's a falling wedge if we draw it this way, and if we can also combine it with the fact that we had a huge decline here, then well, this of course could reverse and push to the upside. Look, I mean, some textbooks actually state that whenever we have a decline like this, the prevailing trend was to the downside, then we enter a formation like that, and then we end up kind of breaking to the downside, So, however, that's not always true, because again, sometimes it's actually works the opposite, because we already had the kind of a a good move to the downside. Now we're forming like a falling wedge pattern, which tends to be a bullish indication. And I'm not saying that, let's say, if we do break it to the upside here, that it's gonna be, like we're gonna fly sky high here. No, we might actually just end up testing the 200-day EMA, and then we could go back to the downside. So that's why initially it could be like a nice positive thing, but then if it finds resistance again near the 200-day EMA, it could have a continuation move to the downside. Then we could form something like of a consolidation here overall, and then this is the point where it could work that, hey, the prevailing trend was to the downside, we had some consolidation, and now it continues to go lower. Yes, that would be correct as well. But from the shorter term perspective, like I said, it could be an issue that we could see, a pop higher here. It's a lot of probably traders could be selling somewhere around here, and then it goes against them, tests the 200-day EMA. This is where they get cleared, and then it falls off the cliff again. So keep that in mind. USD CAD very quickly on that one. This one's a roller coaster ride. However, one of the lines got broken, so this is what I was talking about, and I think it's time to get rid of this downside line because it got broken, and we could aim now for the upside. So as long as we stay above the 1.3571 territory, I'll go to the upside. For the downside, I need to see a clear break of this upside line, and then I'll consider a move lower. GBP USD. So this one's one of my favorite right now, honestly. Although I don't really look at this pair very often. However, at the moment, it's because I'm becoming very biased towards it because I'm watching this potential idea of a rising wedge, and it seems to be forming. However, look, I talked about this when we were here. I talked about this potential idea of a rising wedge. I said that, hey, yes, we could see some downside, but as long as it stays within the pattern, there are still potential moves for the upside. I've mentioned clearly this several times. So in a way, the most logical option is to wait for a break of this lower side of this rising wedge, and then yes, it could go, in further south here. But as long as it remains within the pattern, there is still potential for some upside. So then this is exactly what's happening. After rebounding from this 1.1958, we moved higher, but again, we found good resistance near the upper side of this formation. Look, if we fall below the 200-day EMA, I'll get a little bit more interested with the downside. Oh, and by the way, guys, look at this. I mean, look, this is going to be an interesting one. If we do fall below the 200-day EMA, we travel lower, we test the 21-day EMA. The 21-day EMA by that time could already approach this 1.1958 territory. We're rebound from it, move it back up here, test the area somewhere maybe near this, around this 200-day EMA, and then reverse back, forming a potential head and shoulders pattern, and then breaking basically to the downside. In that case, we have two confirmation moves here for the two confirmation patterns for the downside: a little head and shoulders and a potential rising wedge pattern. However, maybe this is me flying in the clouds way too much and fantasizing about it and trying to see something where it's not. I get it, but look, consider this. Just consider this. You can ignore this whole idea if we start popping above this barrier right here. This 1.2345. If we pop above it, I'll skip the whole kind of head and shoulders rising wedge patterns, and then probably I'll stick to the upside. GBP CAD, guys, very quickly. And by the way, the reason why I'm going to stick to the upside is because just consider this, that we are also above the 200-day EMA. In general, we're above all of the EMAs, and if we continue to trade above those, there is still potential for the upside. GBP CAD. So there we go. We broke my rising wedge, and this is one of those where it didn't work out. So hey, have to admit that. Again, I'm not gonna try to draw this, although I would like it to draw, but I think I'd rather just stick to the upside line. So, at the moment, of course, some of you are hoping for maybe a bit of a retracement, but we're not really getting it. So, look, I will say from the very short-term perspective, a drop below the 1.6437 territory here could do the trick for a few more sellers. If we do drop below this, I'll go for a larger correction to the downside towards this upside line. With the upside, well, this is going to be difficult for me right now, because with the upside, I mean, do have some bunch of levels here, but look, they're not really picture perfect. So maybe one of these, 1.6717, it acted as a good area of support previously, and then resistance, and then yeah, we'll take it from there. EURUSD chef, guys, boom, there we go. We've had a nice pop here above this through this triangle, through one of these trend lines, so that's great. Good news. And what's next? So what's the next phase is, of course, I am still aiming for the upside, and yep, I will go higher as long as we stay above above that downside line which we broke right now. So, and if we stay above it, then certainly my next target is the 200-day EMA. Although I have my arrow drawn to up until here, the 1.0046, but actually I am gonna aim for this 200-day EMA. For the downside, pretty straightforward. The break of this upside line is required. Euro JPY, there we go. Beautiful rebound from this upside line. Look at this, and there we go. So we had a nice rebound. We moved higher. We almost tested that 21-day EMA. So the question is right now, can we see a further move north? Well, in that scenario, I need to see a nice good pop above this downside line. If we clear this downside line, yes, I'll go higher. But if you remember, when I would first have drawn these two upside lines, I said that look, both of those are tentative. Who knows which one's going to work out? Well, we can see that the lower one did work out. Sometimes that is the best case scenario actually, but hey, we have drawn both of them. We can get rid of this. I'll keep this one for now on the chart. So if you're looking for some lower levels, guys, then certainly guess what? A break of this upside line is needed. And also, I think I will stick to this level, the 140.90 territory, and then we will take it from there. EURUSD, this one continues to move beautifully in this falling channel. We have rebounded from the lower side of this pattern. Look, I talked about this, and yeah, so far so good. Because we're moving towards the upper side of this pattern, of this falling channel. In order for me to go higher, I need to see a clear break through it, and then I'll consider a move towards, well, it's not exactly this level here, but I think I'll start looking at this level here, the 1.6845. Then I'm going to target this little area, the 1.7112, and then I'm going to go from there. But I need to see a clear break through the upper side of this falling channel. EURUSD, this one's still holding on, so that's great, that's good. For the bulls, we're still holding above this 1.048082, and that means that yes, there could be potential for some further upside, and then yeah, we will take it from there. Look, for the downside, I need to see actually a drop below this 200-day. Actually, I'm not going to stick to any of the levels. Why? Because I think I have, if I'm seeing this correctly, I have this little short-term tentative upside line right here as well. So basically, if we do move lower, then we could see a drop below the 200-day EMA and maybe even the 21-day EMA if we fall below this upside line. So that's why this upside line is an interesting one, an interesting kind of option here for the downside. Anything here, I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to observe the price action. Look, I mean, there is potential for this one to move lower actually as well. If it falls and stays below the 1.0482, if it does that, then yes, we could be balancing somewhere around this in this territory. If we want to aim higher, I think the safest option is to keep your eyes on the current highest point of this week, near the 1.0595, or in general, because we have also this 1.0615. I think that the other option is just to stick to the 1.06 territory, and if we clear that, this first of all confirms a forthcoming higher high, and potentially more buyers can join in. So consider that option. But in this whole area here, I'm just not liking it, and I'm just going to observe the price action. And I believe that there are some other other better options in other pairs if you do trade pairs with other currencies pairs. So there are better scenarios like for example, the same GBP pairs right now. They're quite interesting. So keep that in mind, guys. And yeah, I think I have to wrap it up here. I think I went a little bit over my time, so I do apologize for that. So thank you very much for watching and listening. I really appreciate your views, your likes, your comments, guys. Like I said, I'll have to wrap it up here. If you want to catch me tomorrow morning, as always, at my Traders Espresso, that's 7 o'clock GMT time. For now, have a beautiful trading day. Stay safe, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.